Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. It's Sunday afternoon here. I have just a few quick things to cover, and then I have a special fluff edition for you. So the first thing we want to look at is this particular research paper that was put together by the American Institute of Economic Research. And Max Gulker, PhD, released this on the 20th, just a few days ago. And his 5-year study found that Bitcoin is less volatile than its cryptocurrency cousins. So he used a very simple matrix and took the average value of each coin by year and compared Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ether, Bitcoin Cash, and Ripple. And these daily averages are with their price movements. And interestingly enough, they found that Bitcoin is consistently less volatile than 4 other widely traded cryptocurrencies, which were the Litecoin, Ripple, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash. Looking at simple measures of volatility across digital assets also reveals some common patterns over time and interesting potential trends. So this is the actual paper. And, there's a lot of this in the news, but they're not showing the graphs that are included in this particular study. So here the first graph is an average daily price movement of the five cryptocurrencies from 2013 to 2018. And as you can see, starting in 2013, only XRP, Litecoin, and BTC are on the charts. So within that year's time, Bitcoin only fluctuated a little over 4%, whereby the Litecoin fluctuated at about 6%. And then XRP is up here just under 10%. So there was much more daily average movement in price with XRP. And then it comes down to 2014. You can kind of see they bunched up together just in a range of about 3 to 4.2%. Then in 2015, Ethereum came onto the charts. And you can see of the 3 that were on previously, Ethereum really had much more volatility with over 6%. Then we come down to 2016, even bunched up, even tighter down here with XRP, Litecoin, and BTC, but Ethereum remained to be more volatile. Then, as we all know, with the fork of Bitcoin, came onto the charts of Bitcoin Cash. And it had the most volatile year of all 5 with just under 10%. And then, of course, we get down to 2018, and they are very much bunched together, but BTC being the least volatile with BCH at the top. So it says, interestingly, the first half of 2018 is the closest together the 5 cryptocurrencies have been in average daily price movement. So then he has included another graph, which is also very easy to understand. And this is the average number of days per year with price changes of more than 10%. And this really illustrates how Bitcoin Cash has had more than 80 days where the price fluctuated more than 10%. Ethereum just under 50, Ripple just at about 40, Litecoin at a little over 30, and Bitcoin just in the mid 20s. So this is an interesting study. And, the people are always talking about how the institutional investors are staying away because of all the volatility. But when you actually look at this 5-year study, you can see that Bitcoin has become lower than the other cryptocurrencies in this measure of volatility. though it is still far surpasses traditional currencies. Yes, we know that. And I think it's hard to say, this is how he sums up his research. It's hard to say with a straight face that Bitcoin is the stable currency, but compared to its cousins, its wild price swings are a little less wild. Yeah, so I think I'm going to put this down in the comment section because it's an interesting research summary for sure. If we look at Max Gulker, he is a PhD that has been writing for, what was it? I think it was 3 years with this institute. So he previously worked as an economist with Keystone Strategy, and he is, let's see here, he holds his PhD in economics from Stanford and a BA in economics from the University of Michigan. So when you click on his name, if you want to take a look, you can see about 180, almost 200 articles that he's written, primarily with the focus of cryptocurrency. And I think many of the article titles looked worthy of some time. Okay, I don't know how this is going to be received, but let me just give it a shot. The Modern Investor, who is another fellow YouTuber who I really respect and follow, he does some critical thinking, and I like the way he presents his honest opinions. So a shout out to him. And if you're not following him, you probably would be smart to do so. So I know that he came up with some theories as to why Coinbase was not listing XRP as one of the coins on the exchange. And I just started, doing the critical thinking on my own. And of course, as you know, Brad Garlinghouse used to be one of the senior VPs at Yahoo. So I found an article back from 2006. And if you don't know about this, I think it's quite interesting to add to your knowledge basis. So there was what was called the Peanut Butter Manifesto, and it was basically a document that was an internal document, but it was leaked to the Wall Street Journal. And the author of that internal document was Brad Garlinghouse. So the document is a lightning rod. This is when the article was written. And Garlinghouse must have known of the high risk of it being made public. However, the document is so critical of current leadership at Yahoo that it was clearly not written to be voluntarily leaked. This is Yahoo's dirty laundry spread all over the world for everyone to see, and it voices the frustration that suggests CEO Terry Seimel's chief lieutenants are restless and frustrated. So I am bringing this up because at that time, so you have to remember, at this time, Brian Armstrong was also in the Bay Area working. He had just founded a startup called universitytutor.com. Prior to that, he did a internship with IBM in San Jose, and he grew up in the Bay Area. So he's a Bay Area kid, and he started his company there in San Francisco. He did his internship with IBM in San Jose, and he was connected within the IT space. And let me tell you for sure, everybody knows everybody in that space. It's not as big as you think, and people are moving all the time. I mean, look at Ethan Barrett. He was at Google, he moved to Facebook, and now he's with Ripple. So these people not only know each other, but they have lots of friends and enemies in all these camps. And so San Francisco is north. San Jose is south. It's all on the South Bay area. This is Silicon Valley. And the heart of it, geographically and arguably intellectually, is in the Palo Alto area where Stanford is. So everybody who is in that area with their startups, they're there because the VCs are there. And the VCs are the necessary means. Before ICOs came onto the scene, the VCs were necessary for these startups to get off the ground. So that's why so many of the startups did happen in the Bay Area, because that's where the money is. It's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? No. Well, you can't make a company without the talent, and you can't make the company without the money. So that's where those two entities gathered. So here in this time frame, we can look that Brian was working at his universitytutor.com from 2003 to May 2012. Okay. And also, just so you know, he did do a little work for Airbnb, and Airbnb while he was still at universitytutor.com. And Airbnb is also one of those startups that happened in the Bay Area. Okay. So my point is, back to this Yahoo leaked document. Brad really went out on a limb and just had a grueling internal memo talking about the lack of focus that the company had, and a lot of insinuation of the failures of the upper management. And he referred to it as, I've heard the strategy described as spreading peanut butter across the myriad opportunities that continue to evolve on our online world. The result of thin layer of investment spread across everything we do, and thus we focus on nothing in particular. So this internal memo is very, very long. I'm not going to go through it, but I think if you're kind of interested as to what he was thinking at that time, it was very pointing to Yahoo's floundering activity. And he makes the suggestion in the document that he wanted to do a pretty hardcore layoff. He felt that we must reduce the headcount by 15 to 20%. So then when we take a look at 11 months after this document was released, back on December 10th, right before Christmas, brutal, 2008, Yahoo pink slips 1,500 jobs. So in the released internal memo, you will also read some commentary of where Brad was really stepping out to challenge the direction of the company. And he was either going to be a hero because he will be seen as the person who prompted the layoffs, or he'd even be a hero if they didn't do layoffs and they failed. So I think he was seizing the opportunity to make a name for himself. And this was just brutal. I mean, any company that lays off just a couple of weeks before Christmas is absolutely a company that doesn't have a heart, in my opinion. So what I'm trying to say with bringing this situation to light is that I am sure within those 1,500 jobs that were cut, there were a lot of people that Brian knew. And if he didn't know them personally, he was very close to people who knew him personally. And I think a lot of the toxic culture in Yahoo at that time was directly back to this peanut butter manifesto. And I just don't think Brad had a lot of, I mean, it's just easy to make enemies when you are a company that's failing because you make decisions that are not super popular. I mean, I've been there, and I know that in those times that you have to make those hard decisions, you do make a lot of enemies. So I just wanted to add this 2 cents to, I think the relationship between Brian and Brad goes back very far into the days of working in Silicon Valley and the occurrences that took place when he was at Yahoo. I will also include in the comment section, there is a young product manager who was at Yahoo during those years from 2006 to 2008. And he writes a very fair and balanced opinion about what it was like to work there at that time. And he's very fair. He doesn't point fingers at particular people, but he does say that the company lacked founder involvement in products and it lacked guts. He says that they had poor internal communication, that they lowered the hiring bar. Yeah, I know this because at that time, Yahoo was failing in the space. People were jumping ship and going to places like Google and then later Facebook. So there's just so many other exciting companies that Yahoo started to lose a lot of talent. He also cites the lack of execution discipline and, again, the loss of top talent. And to sum it up, he makes his notes here. I really think if you're interested in maybe understanding what the Google or what the Yahoo culture was like at that time, this is also something that will help you understand. All right, that's all I wanted to add to that. And the Modern Investor, thank you for all your critical thinking as well. Okay, so on Reddit, Monero has been cited as one of the anonymous coins that are not going to be able to be traded in Japan. And so in a twist, this was out just about 13 hours ago. The existing narrative where unauthorized browser miners have been arrested in Japan. Yeah, some people were arrested who were mining the privacy coin Monero. It talks about there is a new Monero for Japan initiative, and it aims to raise funds for Japan's largest charitable and political organizations through permissioned browser mining and CoinHive. And it goes on to say that they are going to hire an attorney, that it says here that they will, Monero for Japan will also hire a lawyer in Japan with a depth of knowledge of Japanese Act on the Protection of Personal Information, APPI. Yeah, you know what? Don't waste your time. I'm all for a good fight, but you need to know what battles to fight. And the reason I say that is this is the FAFT. This is an organization which is called the Financial Action Task Force. It's an intergovernmental body established in 1989 by the ministers of the members' jurisdictions. And the objectives of the FAFT are to set standards and promote effective implementation of legal, regulatory, and operational measures for combating money laundering, terrorist funding, and other related threats to the integrity of the international financial system. So this is, if you go to the FSA website, which is the Financial Service Agency's website in Japan, they are the watchdog. They are always citing that they are going to comply and march to the doctrine of FAFT. And when you look at the members, here's a map that will show you the basic members, which is really the top countries that have the influence and power. So Argentina, Australia, Austria, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, China, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hong Kong, Iceland, India, Ireland, Italy, Japan, Korea, Luxembourg, Malaysia, Mexico, Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Portugal, Russia, Singapore, South Africa, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Turkey, United Kingdom, and United States. And I'm so sorry, but one attorney in Japan is not going to be able to fight this fight. The only winner is going to be the attorney who gets those fees. So I'm going to illustrate on one more point. On the last G20 meeting, there were recommendations given. Let me just show you here. Federico Sturzenegger, which was the person who gave the closing comments at the last G20, he is Argentina's central bank chief. He noted that cryptocurrencies need to be examined. Let me take you down to exactly what he said. Crypto assets lack key attributes of sovereign currencies. At some point, they have financial stability implications. We commit to implement the FATF, Financial Action Task Force, that's the site we were just on, standards as they apply to crypto assets. Look forward to the FAFT review of those standards and call on the FATF to advance global implementation. We call on international standards setting bodies, the SSBs, to continue their monitoring of crypto assets and risks according to the mandates and assess multilateral responses as needed. So at the next G20 meeting, they have a special group that are going to meet on this issue. The G20 takes place this year in Argentina in November. So these are the possible participating leaders. It's funny they use the word possible. Well, I guess it could be because, someone like Trump might just decide at the last minute, I'm not going, or who knows? I mean, this world is funny. You can't make predictions that far out. So when we come down here, let's see, the agenda. A number of attending countries have said they will focus on the regulation of cryptocurrencies at this meeting. So everybody is going to walk the walk to the FAFT. And I just think that, I'm sorry, Monero, but fighting this fight in Japan is just, I think, a losing battle. You need to choose your battles wisely. Okay, this is interesting. Possible participating guests. So it looks like Chile, Jamaica, Netherlands, Rwanda, Senegal, Singapore, and Spain will also be in attendance. Okay, speaking of Senegal, here comes your fluff. This is today's Google search image. Country by country, the Google search illustration is localized. So this is today in Japan, and we have a big game with Senegal tonight. Yeah, the ranking differences are quite wide. I don't know, we might get lucky like we did last game, but I'm just not quite sure if we have a chance. But I think Japan's going to give it its best effort. Okay, let me just then take you to the 8 most popular sports in Japan. So when we come down and take a look, number 8, Puro Uresu. That's pro wrestling. Yeah, I don't know, it's not one of my favorites, but I guess it's made the top 8 in terms of rank. Number 7 is boxing. Number 6 is auto racing. 5th is golf. 4th is sumo. 3rd is tennis. 2nd is soccer. And 1st is baseball. Baseball is big here. But I want to talk about sumo. Sumo is the national sport. It's a full contact wrestling sport, as you know. And this is a terracotta figure that was actually found in the Kofun period, which is about 200 AD to 500 AD. And this is an actual wrestler in his pose, probably a yokozuna pose, which is the champion when they do an open ceremony. He has a special series of poses that he does. It could also be the bow holder that happens at the end of the ceremony, but we just might have lost the bow in all those years being buried. I'm not sure. But today, let me just show you here. This is modern day figurine. And this is another current champion. His name is Hakuho. And this is part of his opening ceremony routine pose that he does. And I just thought that was fun to compare the difference. Not, we still are collecting our figurines, right? And in addition, I wanted to tell you, I am a huge sumo fan, as in an otaku, and those are the people who are really geeky and nerdy for really niche things. I want to show you. This is me about, how many years ago? About 12 years ago. And I was with Asashoyu at his stable, and this is after a morning workout. It was a very special time I was able to meet with him. This is a year later. I actually went to a private party with the Mongolian wrestlers in Las Vegas. Yeah, that was fun. And I just wanted to share with you just a couple of I have hundreds of sumo memorabilia, but I just wanted to show you, this is Asashoyu's tegata. And a tegata is a handprint that they do. It's real ink, and then he signs. And these can be valuable for sure, especially for the collectors or the otaku like myself. Here's, in sumo, they also have, in America, they have baseball cards. Well, in Japan, you have sumo cards. And if you go to the tournaments, you can go to what's called the Hanamichi, which is the special, it's like directly translated, flower street. But it's the path that those famous wrestlers will take when they come out, in and out of the venue, and also when they are walking to their tournament. But this one is very special to me. This is Asuno Arashi. He is the first sumo wrestler ranked in Japan that came from the continent of Africa. And he was very kind, and he signed my card. Because he's the first wrestler from Africa, I think it's very, very special. And last, I want to just show you, this is so faded now. This is at a New Year's party, and this is Asashoyu, the famous champion, which is called Yokozuna. And at that time, if you can see, I put my arm around him for the picture. That was really controversial. So I am at that time I saw him, I just thought, my buddy Asashoyu, and just didn't even think about it. But in Japan, these wrestlers are considered living gods, seriously. And I think everyone who saw me do that was absolutely shocked beyond belief. Yeah, I kind of laugh at myself now, but I just really didn't give it much thought. Okay, this is Asashoyu. Let me just show you quickly some of his. We won't watch, but maybe 15 seconds. But you can see some of his great bouts and his style. He's very flamboyant, very powerful, considered one of the best champions ever. He was very fun to watch. And, even today, it is sold out in Tokyo every time there's a tournament. It's very difficult to get a ticket. It is absolutely super fun to follow. And I want to give you a fellow YouTuber. His name is Jason. He has a great channel, and he will commentate for you in English. And he's very much an expert. And if you are interested in watching any of the tournaments, definitely subscribe to his channel. And I think you'll have a good time learning about the sport. Okay, everybody, that's it today. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and I will be talking to you soon. Okay? Thanks. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.